Wait, you're about to. Oops, shit.
Yeah, we started. Were you about to say something inappropriate?
No, I was gonna go get something inappropriate.
Oh, well, you can go get it.
Okay, well, you just open.
Yeah. Hey, so what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna go solo layout. Ooh, that solo layout's pretty ugly. Sorry, I don't have my whole background set up yet. Still moving in, still getting this whole place figured out. But AC Lee here from the AC Lee and Parlay Pete podcast, watching the good old Lakers and Golden State basketball game, coming live to you from an undisclosed location where we meet up virtually. Anyways, happy to have you here today. What do we talk about? You know, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. And I think it's very important that we make everyone aware of our mental health. And I think we should utilize social media in order to do that so the whole world knows exactly what triggers us, what upsets us, so they can know to watch it when they come around us and take good care of our mental health. I think we should continue to just scroll and look at women who are unattainable, look at bodies that are unattainable, look at guys who are just simps in lives and talk about all they do for their women, but they're single. I think we should look at people with a lot of money and worship them and can drive ourselves deeper into the abyss because we know we'll never, ever, 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 ever be as rich as Floyd or as famous as Beyonce or Rihanna. Okay. I think this Mental Health Awareness Month, we need to put our mental health to the back burner and just continue to just float in social media all day and complain about mental health on social media, not realizing that social media is the cause of many of our mental health issues. We should hang out in the comments a lot. We should read captions so we know exactly what people feel, instead of just looking at the pictures. And we should stay isolated. Don't go out nowhere. Don't hang out with your friends. Don't have fun. No Zoom meetups. No FaceTime meetups. None of that. Hey, look, that wedding you're going to next weekend, don't go. You call the Boinks and say, hey, we're not coming. Sorry. Too many people there got to socially distance. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I don't want to be triggered by any of you people. Hey, Parlay Pete, what's up?
I don't know. I had to go work on my mental health real quick by getting some of this juice, because that helps calm me down. Whenever my mental health is starting to take over, this antidepressant is really what kicks me into another gear.
Is it similar to this juice we have here?
It looks like it. Looks like we're very similar. LeBron James, he doesn't look like he ever gets depressed.
No, he doesn't. Not when you're hitting fadeaway backboard threes when the shot clock's winding down.
And when you already have a 1-0 lead in a series against the defending champs, and you're really going to have them on the ropes, you can take them out today.
So let me be honest real quick. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I was being a little facetious with that open. But I did that to kind of just, give you a little South Park joke, a little Family Guy joke that, hey, man, mental health awareness, it's very important and serious. But I'll always say it's on you to manage your mental health. Figure out what your triggers are, work through them. And whatever it is that you need to get you in a place that you need to be, work on it. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't need to know. I don't really care. Just like I don't care if your ankle's hurting or you have a headache. I don't really care about your mental health. I just care that you maintain it in a way that is healthy. Just like I care about your physical health. And for most of you people, I actually don't care too much about either because I don't know you or I don't spend enough time with you for you to be on the top of my mind. I hope that you take care of it, but I promise you, this is about all you're going to get from me about working towards it, unless I have your phone number and we actually communicate on somewhat of a regular basis. What are your thoughts on Mental Health Awareness Month, Parlay Pete?
Golly, I think it's like anything else. Whenever we throw something into a month, whether it's Women's History, Black History, what's next month going to be?
Juneteenth.
Well, but that's a holiday. That's a day. I'm talking about when we start dedicating months to these things. We have Military Appreciation Month in October, right? Or is that Breast Cancer Awareness? It's
I
one.
know it's breast cancer. You know, there's a lot of months each month.
Uh-huh.
I've stopped trying to keep up with the list. I just
Right.
wait for somebody to announce it on their podcast, and then I'll say, okay, let's add it to the notes.
Right.
Jared
I'm
Vanderbilt hurt his knee. Looked like he hyperextended that bad boy. Moses Moody.
similar to one Michael Harris. Did you see Michael Harris's hyperextension?
No.
He was like running through first base and like, man, he did like a fucking somersault almost. It was crazy. It looked bad. Like, I'm glad he was okay. Like, it was nothing. It was no ACL, no nothing. I mean, but gosh, it looked bad.
It sounds bad. Look at Vanderbilt run. He's done. Get him out of there. He can't guard stuff with that knee.
He did a great job in game one, too.
He did. Jordan Poole really blew it, but we're not there yet. How was your week, man?
It's been good, you know. Had to move a couple of things around. I was supposed to, you know, this LA thing, I feel like it's just keeps getting put on the back burner on my end, but the lady that was supposed to have been there, I was supposed to have gone the week before, but then I was supposed to have gone on this Tuesday, and then that got pushed back, and then I was supposed to even kind of be there tomorrow, but I told them, I said, well, look, I'll just come early next week because tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo, and I didn't say it literally like that, but I was just like, yeah, and I knew then once I knew I was headed to a birthday party in DC, I was like, yeah, that just sounds like a lot for me. So I was just like, I'll just go early next week. That way it doesn't creep into this weekend because obviously I know we've got a big weekend ahead of us next weekend. But aside from that, you know, been keeping busy, but good.
That's good. Finals are over. Looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dean?
I don't even think part-time graduate students can make the dean's list. Got to be full-time.
Well, are you going to make your dean's list?
Yeah. You
met your expectations at a high level?
Absolutely.
That's good for mental health. You know that, right?
Who you telling? An A and a B.
I like that.
That's to go over each semester. 1A, 1B.
Hey, that averages out to about a B plus, A minus.
Exactly. Let's see. We got the Boink wedding coming up this week, next week. How do you want to do that? Because I'm driving up Thursday afternoon. Thinking a Wednesday, or do we take a week off? Oh, no, it's the playoffs.
I think we can really play it by ear on that Tuesday. And the reason I say it is because Tuesday, I'm going to be in LA.
That's right.
So, yeah. So if it's like one of those things where it's like nothing significant aside, because you got to think, will we have an elimination by then? Maybe Phoenix could be bounced.
Yeah.
They could be bounced.
I think we have to get an elimination besides Phoenix, because I think when we get to Phoenix and we talk about that series, I kind of know where my feelings are on it, but I mean, Denver's so boring.
Mm-hmm. But boy, did they play some good basketball.
They do. God almighty. Takes me back to 99 in San Antonio. Just better.
Why does it take you back to 99 in San Antonio?
You're
saying those Spurs.
Yeah. Not that particular Spurs. I'm just saying the Spurs.
Yeah. Well, you want to know what the thing with the Spurs was too? Everybody knew that they were just such a good unit. And with this one, yeah, like Duncan won 2 MVPs. Jokic obviously's got 2. And Duncan won his back-to-back, didn't he?
I don't know. I know he won one in, 07?
No, he didn't win in 07. I think he was 02, 03.
No, he won a championship in 07. I'm sorry.
02, 03.
Okay.
MVP. I'm pretty sure he was back-to-back. He was back-to-back just like you.
2-time MVP.
Mm-hmm.
3-time finals MVP.
But were the MVPs back-to-back? 02, 03?
His MVPs, yep, 02, 03.
Okay.
Look at
I
you.
just want to make sure I want to make sure I was cooking with a little bit of grease here. All right, my intel, everything's coming together. We're good. We're good to go. Yeah.
Well, speaking of Tim Duncan, one of his former assistant coaches got canned today. I can't say I'm shocked. He was on the hot seat, won a championship. Kind of disappointed last year, but Chris Middleton was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Really disappointed this year. Outside, in a vacuum, I'd go, yeah, he probably deserved another year or two off of a championship. But if you were on the hot seat before you won the championship, and the reason why most would put you on the hot seat was because you didn't make adjustments. You didn't make in-game adjustments. I don't really think you make great season adjustments. You played the way that you played. Even in some games prior to the championship, Giannis wouldn't play big minutes. He's playing his 33, he's playing his 36. It's like, but y'all are losing.
Right.
You're losing this playoff series. Give him the 42. In the big series, Bron plays 45 minutes a game. When Cleveland was, 2018? He was playing like 46, 47 a game. Mm-hmm. This man's coming out to 30 seconds before halftime because, okay, nothing's going on here. Let me get to the locker room a step quicker.
Right.
And in this past matchup, he had it like we responded live to Giannis last week. We didn't get to talk about his bullshit comments that he made, saying that like there's no failure in sports. It's like, man, there's a scoreboard, dude. If in any profession.
Now, look, I understood where he was coming from.
I do too.
Because he broke it down pretty well, just in a sense of, if you didn't win today, does that mean that the whole, like, everything's been a failure up until that point because of today? And so, like, I get that. And then, of course, if he wants to play it by that book in terms of in sports, and I guess he meant really men's sports, when you play at that high of a level, you're so rich. It really, like, is there really that bad day? Look, and look, LeBron did it once too. After they lost to the Mavericks, he was questioned about it. And he said, he said that people still got to go back and live their lives. He's like, I get to go home and live with my family, and do that. Like, it's so like, but we knew that it was really a subliminal.
Hey, y'all are broke. I'm rich as fuck.
I'm rich as fuck. Like, I don't think y'all realize that. Like, yeah, I wish that I won, but like, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, life's still really good over here. So, like, and sometimes we forget that it is a game. It's just a game. It really is just a game.
Yeah, but I think the reporter's question was specifically talking about that season, and did the Bucks have a failure of a season? Yes. And guess what? They fired their head coach. Now, after the fact, we found out, unfortunately, that Coach Budenholzer's brother passed away during the series, which could have clouded his judgment. It may not have been his best self. Prayers and condolences to the family. Don't want to be insensitive about what he was dealing with. But I tell you that Bucks fans, Bucks brass, probably some of the Bucks players are like, yeah, dog, we're here to win though. And I know we've talked about that on the pod before. The sad reality is, just because there's tragedy going on in one person's life doesn't mean that everyone else's world stops on them. But the last thing I'll say before I throw it back over to you with Bud, because I'm okay with Bud being fired. Again, I don't run the team. It's not my money. I'm not Bud, so I'm not really affected by it. This doesn't happen without Giannis signing off on it. You don't fire Bud without Giannis signing off on it. And I think that Giannis, he said something very clever in his press conference. He said he wished he could have guarded Jimmy Butler more, but he did what Coach said. He said he said this before, and some would say, "Hey, bro, just guard him. You don't need Coach to tell you to guard him." Clay is cooking today, by the way.
I love it. Well, you know why I love it.
Yeah. Some would say that, Giannis, you just switch off on him. But him calling out some of the strategic stuff in the press conference lets me know he wasn't happy with the game plan, but he was a good teammate and he just executed what Coach told him to execute.
Right. Yeah, I think that Bud is somewhat of a scapegoat in this situation for what happened this season. But obviously, as we know, being Hawks fans and living here, um, had a really arguably the most successful run of any Hawks coach ever. Um, you know, and I get it. Nate took us to the Eastern. Well, I mean, Bud did too, but Nate actually won some games. And I just think that in this situation, you're 2 years removed from a title. You lost last year in 7 to Miami, right? No, they lost to Boston in 7.
Boston.
So you took Boston 7. You lost that series. What was damn near a coin flip, really.
Yep.
You know, obviously the year you do win the championship, you're a Kevin Durant, one size down and shoe away from being fired then, but it didn't happen at the end of the day. His foot was that size, and his foot was on the line, so that breathed life into them. This year, you had the best record in the league. Arguably, you could argue maybe their best team, even including the championship team. Maybe their best team, the best form of that group was this year.
Some would say that.
I would for sure. They haven't announced the all defensive teams, but the expectation is that you basically got 3 all defensive players, runner up for defensive player of the year. Giannis could have easily won MVP this year too. His numbers were just as good, if not better, low key than Embiid's. And you got bounced in 5 games, including, 2 losses at home. So not a good look at all, but like at the same time, I just think that I look at it this way. The circumstances surrounding it, from him losing his brother, we have no idea how close they were. That could have been his best friend. I'd be heartbroken if I lost, any of my brothers, but certainly Justice, right? Like if it's somebody that close to me. I mean, I'm close to all my brothers like that too.
I know,
like, I hang out with Justice more than anyone. So I don't know if that's how that was for him. He could have lost his best friend, and like you grow up your whole life, with a sibling, and so like that's tough to have to adjust and get back to life. Now, look, the world doesn't stop because somebody dies. We know that. It doesn't matter who it is. Now, it kind of did for Michael Jackson for a little bit, but not really. We still all have moved on from Michael Jackson dying. Like,
well, what about Queen Elizabeth? It stopped for her in England.
And in England. Now, Michael Jackson, the internet got turned off. For a brief period, Google and shit was not working, right? And but point being, I guess this is what I'm saying. You add in that, and then you add in the fact that Giannis misses 2 games. You win one of those games that he doesn't play in. Giannis clearly wasn't 100% in game 4 either. And so there were adjustments that Bud did not make that he should have made. Like, for instance, when Miami is making this comeback, why don't you call the timeout? Like, why do you let them get it, to where they're up 1 and then you call the timeout? Why didn't you call it when they cut it to 6 and you were up 13? Like, there are little things like that absolutely you put on the coach. I don't think that he deserved to get fired because it was year 5. Like, I don't know. I felt like he deserved at least 1 more year with that group, but clearly ownership felt different, and they think that they were going to get similar results if they had stuck with him. But now my question is, who do you get to be the coach then? Ime's off the table. I get it. Nick Nurse is about the only viable within the NBA circle we know is here, and it's going to be an attractive job from the standpoint of this team is ready to win, but it puts a lot of pressure on whomever it is that they do in fact hire. And I just don't know who they could hire. Like who is the front runner for a job like this, considering everything that we know? Who is it? Who's the front runner? I need to wipe this.
I'm sure Luke Walton is sitting around somewhere waiting on a job.
Are they going to get Phil Jackson out? Like, I mean, what are they going to do? Is I know they don't want Jeff. There's no way they want Jeff. Mark Jackson, they don't want Mark. Like who do you get? Who's this top assistant out here that's sitting around that you could hire that's been this big name that's been holding and waiting on jobs? I mean, can you poach Pop? Like, I mean, what are you going to do, I guess is my question. Who can you steal from a team? Mike Brown already took the job. I know that you got Kenny Atkinson, but is that really who you want to replace Coach Bud with? One of his former assistants? Probably not. So I guess that's my question. Who do you hire? Who's up next? Who's a better coach than Bud that you can hire? Oh man, Clay is on something else tonight.
Maybe we get your man's off of NBA TV who coached the Hawks. We go back to the Hawks.
Larry Drew?
No, the bald dude who just got fired before Nate McMillan.
Lloyd Pierce, I doubt it.
We go Lloyd Pierce, we go Nate McMillan.
Are they going to make a call to Jay Wright or something and be like, because they kind of almost got to get kind of somewhat of a splash type hire if you're getting rid of Bud. I mean, I always have considered Bud top 5.
Maybe Nick Nurse is interested. And maybe that's why
they're the only one that you could think of.
And maybe that's why they were comfortable firing Bud, because Nurse maybe said he was interested.
He's about the only person I could think of that would make sense, because elsewhere, like I said, Ime would have made sense. You know, I think Ime could have worked there, but like he's hired now. So, I mean, I don't know who you hire. I guess that's my thing. Like, who are you going to hire?
I don't know, but maybe they just said, hey, we're going in a different direction because we know your direction is not the right direction.
You know, does Spo listen? I mean, like, I'm just curious. Like, Spo's not moving from South Beach to Milwaukee. Like, you know.
Spo's not going to leave that culture either. Like, why would you leave somewhere where you've been since what, 09? 08,
Well,
09?
as head coach, he's been in that organization as a video coordinator since the 90s. So
I mean, as a head coach, though, he's been in his head coaching job for like what, 15 years?
Longer than that, 07, I think, because he took over as soon as Pat stepped down, and Pat stepped down like a year or two after the championship.
Well, that's just getting Stan Van out of the.
Well, I was about to say, well, do you get Stan Van Gundy? I think Stan Van Gundy's ran his course in the league as a head coach now.
I would agree.
After his Detroit and New Orleans stuff, I feel like he's done with head coaching in the.
Spo looks old. Like Spo looks old now. Yeah, he's been a head coach since 08, so he's been in that job for 15 years. Why would I leave a job that I've been in for 15 years to take a job where they fired? Well, they've been through what, 5 coaches since Spo's had his job?
Insert the Vince McMahon gif / meme.
Oh, I was thinking that you would.
The money. I mean, the money changes a lot of things. If they were like by far the highest paid head coach of all time, he'd leave. Because I would.
We all got a price, huh?
Hey, if you're telling me you want me to coach this basketball team, yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe if the Lakers win it all? I mean, Frank Vogel. Like, I mean, who the fuck are they gonna get in there? Like, Rick Carlisle? Will Rick Carlisle be like, yeah, I'm just gonna leave Indiana? Because he's a good coach, but he's got a shitty situation going on there. Like,
no,
I think that the options are so limited.
These foul calls are getting weird in this game.
Oh, I don't care. I hit my bet. Well, I'm gonna hit it.
It's not even about like me even choosing a side with them. They're just
bad officiating.
They're getting real ticky tacky, and when I start to see games get ticky tacky, I get skeptical. Well, AD has 4.5 boards, 3 fouls. We just let Draymond take off to the basket like that? What you doing, LeBron? Slide over, bro.
Yeah, man.
Well, yeah, you hit your first half.
Yes, sir. I caught it at put about $2,300 on it. So we're raking in $4,100 plus 175 Warriors live. First half money. Feels good. It'll pay for a couple of things. I'll tell you that much.
Bro, Bron just watched Draymond just drive like.
But anyways,
let's put a ball in this whole thing so we can talk about teams that are still in the playoffs. I don't think losers deserve to get talked about this long.
No, they don't have to. I just think that Bud's a really good coach, and he'll land on his feet. Somebody else will hire him. He will get a job. So if he wants to coach next year, he might want to take the year off. Maybe this was a devastating loss like that. So
maybe he'll go do a year of media and really drive his price up.
you mean what do they call it? The Gruden theory?
Did a Mark Jackson?
Well, there are two different theories. The Mark Jackson theory is, you're in the locker room preaching, and then you're not even practicing what you're preaching, and you've got this young, talented team, and you get them on the come up, and then you just never get a fucking head coaching job ever again. But the Gruden theory is every year somebody wants you, and you just wait for the right opportunity. And his right opportunity was to move to Las Vegas and to coach a team he's already coached and is familiar with everything, and they paid him handsomely. He became like the richest NFL coach ever.
And then he got ousted.
And all he did was win one Super Bowl. It's not like he won like 3, 4. It's not like he's Jimmy Johnson or something, right? Like, I mean, Jimmy only won 2, but still, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, Jimmy built something. But, hey, it's halftime of Lakers-Warriors. You just hit your bet. Lakers up 1-0. AD had a hell of a game in game 1. They had really no answers for him in the first half. Steph, 6 threes. Clay, 6 threes. Jordan Poole, 6 threes. Jordan Poole takes a ill-advised shot, if you ask me, with 8 seconds left from 31 feet. Lakers get the ball up 3, and that's kind of the game. The biggest thing I saw in that game is what Magic Johnson talked about when he came to the Lakers as the president. He said, you don't beat the Warriors trying to beat the Warriors. You beat the Warriors by getting long, athletic, physical basketball players, and you try to out-physical them. It worked in game 1.
Absolutely.
In game 2, Clay is lights out. 19 in the first half. And he's efficient. So, 2 is always more than 3. 3 is always more than 2. Anthony Davis isn't playing great so far. He's in foul trouble, and he only has 4 points. Obviously, the Warriors has changed up how they approached him. Kevon Looney was out with an illness, so he didn't start. They started to Michael Green instead. But if you watch the end of that game, the Warriors had better on offense and better on defense once they pulled Kevon Looney out of the game down the stretch when they made that 14-0 run where Darvin Ham did not call a timeout. But again, Lakers survived game 1, and we got 11-point game right now going into the half. It's been Warriors had a crazy second quarter. Nip and tuck. I still got Lakers winning the series in 6. Parlay Pete, what are you thinking about the series?
I hate to disagree with you like that, but that's exactly how I called it before the series got started. I liked them in 6, and I liked them in game 1. I really did. Because the biggest question was, like you said, if Magic says that you beat them with strength, length, and strength, essentially, then
big and long.
Yeah, who no pause. Who the fuck's guarding Anthony Davis? Seriously, these are real questions. These are legitimate questions. Who's guarding the best? Who you could argue is the best young player on who's guarding him? There is no answer. And then even when you do that, who's guarding LeBron? These are legitimate questions. I feel like in certain series, everybody's like, okay, this person's going to get his. Like in this series for the Lakers, it's one of those. Steph is kind of low-key going to get his. He's struggling a little bit today, but Clay's picking up the slack. So, some guys are going to get theirs. Steph is going to average 30 for this series. He's going to get his. He just is. He gets too many touches. He's too good of a shooter. He's going to get his. But where do you limit them? Clay, Wiggins. You know what I mean? Jordan Poole. But Jordan Poole will kill himself, right? So, he's kind of a guy that'll hang himself, kind of like our faux interview with Terry Fontenot on what Ritter's leash is going to be like. He'll hang himself. So we're not. You don't have to really worry about that as the Lakers. But for the Lakers, you've got the size advantage pretty much. You're practically as athletic in reality. You're really just as athletic as they are. They're kind of old too. LeBron is really the only old head on the team, anyways. Everybody else is like 30 and under. I mean, how old is Dennis Schroeder? 30, maybe?
Yeah.
He might be younger than that. Like the Lakers are still a young team. They're not even like old like that. And so, and I think that was a big part of what it is that they did at the trade deadline. They got rid of the older players.
29.
Yeah. So they got rid of the older players. You know,
they
got
Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverly, the locker room cancers.
Yeah, the mouse in the locker room.
Hey, we still should get rings even though we ain't on the team no more.
Isn't that funny that he's gonna get one?
It is, but you know what?
Well, if they do it all.
Do you think Pat Bev meant that, or he was just getting some clicks to the podcast?
Clicks.
I feel like the competitor that Pat Beverly is, he wouldn't want the ring if he wasn't out there on the court to earn it.
If you weren't, I mean, does Ron Acuna not accept his championship ring? He wasn't a part of the playoff run either.
He's still on the roster, though. He's still on the roster.
Well, whose fault is it that you got traded? I mean, what can you do about getting traded? Like,
I mean,
you didn't ask to get traded. You got traded.
Well, maybe he wanted to get traded.
Maybe he did. I'm just saying. I don't think that Russell Westbrook necessarily wanted to leave.
Look at this bad halftime show they got out here. They just tried out a terrible halftime show at ESPN.
These guys' suits suck. Stephen A is doing this thing. I mean, Will Bonds is all right.
Yeah, Will Bonds.
I don't know. I don't like his whatever this shit is. Yeah, that shit looks terrible. But the suit itself with the cashmere kind of turtleneck is all right. But I don't like Stephen A. I hate the black. I hate that shit.
Yeah, I don't like the light with the black guts like that.
And Jalen, you know, his suit's not even that bad. It's not even that like bad. It's just this nigga's hairline is distracting us from everything about.
Right, he has too much Beijing in his hair, too much Beijing in his beard. No, Stephen A is probably one of the most poorly dressed, highly paid people on TV.
Yeah, these guys dress pretty bad, and like, you know, it's as if they haven't had money for a long time. These guys have had money for a while, so they're not new to money. They've had it for a minute. And
Stephen A looks like the old head that steps out in the baggy jeans, the big North Carolina A&T or Central, whichever one he went to. I'm sorry, Stephen A. I'm not going to look it up either. Hoodie, and his New York hat, and some dingy forces. Not dirty, not too dusty, but you know how your white forces get off white before Virgil RIP?
Yeah.
That's what I think how Stephen A's just dresses. You know how the Morehouse old heads be the ones who get like the racing jacket.
Yeah. But these guys, they've had money too long and they live in New York. Like Stephen A probably lives in New York City. There's plenty of good tailors up there, I'm sure. So,
but he's from Hollis. He's from Hollis, Queens, man. The money ain't gonna change him.
You know, that's where my daughter's mother's from. She's from there.
Oh dang!
I swear to God, she goes to Hollis Deli and everything. That's exactly where she's from. So I've been over there. I know what it looks like. And so I don't give a fuck where you're from. You can be from Albany, Georgia. You get some money. Now look, country niggas gonna dress like country niggas. I get that. But like, nah, man, when you've been on TV this long, you've been making this much money. ESPN should have been like, hey man, Bob Iger like should have came up to Stephen and been like, man, you're a top guy. Man, let me introduce you to my tailor. Like, I don't fucking know. Will Bond, somebody that's been doing this long enough. Perk don't. None of these dudes dress for shit on there.
I've got nothing for you. I can't. At least over there at Fox, Shannon keep that drip on. I don't always like it.
Shannon dresses better than a lot of them. I tell you, I mean, Strahan never looks stupid. But Strahan's also on TV more than all of them.
He's on Good Morning America.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He's on TV more than all.
You think Strahan could put that bullshit on Good Morning America and get to say good morning to America?
Well, they'd be like, man, this nigga did not have a good morning. So why is he trying to tell me good morning? he didn't have a good morning because clearly that nigga got dressed in the dark. You know what I mean?
Hey, Michael, you really came up. You went from just doing the studio show on Fox, mornings with Michael and Kelly. And then you know how that he kind of just left without telling her.
Right.
And now we brought you to Good Morning America because we really like what you're doing. We're giving you these interviews that nobody really wants to hear from you, but they're doing great numbers because we're Good Morning America.
Right.
Come out dressed like Steve Harvey again. Dress like Stephen A. again. Well, we'll send you back. Let's get to some more playoff matchups. In the West Coast, we got Suns in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit about it earlier. Kind of boring. Did we get this on camera? If you talking about what Book and Katie need to do, or is that pre-production, or do you even remember?
We were pre-production.
Okay. What will it take for Kevin Durant and Devin Booker to knock the series up at 2?
Minimum, and we're talking this is a minimum nightly 60 combined. I mean, I just don't see it any other way. Chris Paul is going to be done for the series. You were already really thin, on the bench, and maybe your best bench player now becomes a starter himself in Cameron Payne. One of those guys is going to pretty much have to be on the floor at all times. So when one gets rested, he takes a 3-minute breather, then you bring the other one back on, and then the other one takes a breath for 3 minutes, then he comes back on. It's going to take a Herculean effort. And a guy like Ayton's going to have to chip in 20 and also have a couple games, man, where he holds Jokic to under 20, 17 points, something like that. He's going to have to disrupt the game a little bit more. He's going to have to do more. Like, they're going to have to do more.
Think he's going to have to, be a bit more aggressive on the boards and not just stand out of bounds and watch him, just ready to take the ball out?
Yeah, pretty much.
I get a feeling that DeAndre Ayton doesn't want to be there. I kind of got that feeling when he signed his contract.
Get-go.
Yeah. But what really brought it out to me was when he threw that terrible pass to Chris Paul. Then starts yelling at Chris Paul to catch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, bro, you threw it pretty high and wide. There's no way in hell Chris Paul catches that pass. But you're mad now. You don't like Chris Paul. Yeah. I'm calling it now. DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul are out of there at the end of this year.
They're both gone.
Yeah, they're out of there.
It would only make sense, and it's unfortunate. CP3 is going to go ringless more than likely, unless I'm sure somebody would pick him up next year for one last ride, right? But the team
coaches play. Go to Charlotte, retire out of North Carolina.
I could see.
Or veteran presence in New Orleans. That would actually be a better move for him.
It would be. But there, certainly he could, with the assumption that Kyrie's gone, he could go to Dallas and play with Luka. And it would probably be a better fit for a player like Luka to play with Chris Paul, similar to how it was for Devin Booker. But Chris Paul, he's going to play in 50 games. So it's like, give or take, and then he'll probably break down by the first round, second round playoffs. So you can do that, or I'll even give you a dark horse. He goes to LA, either LA, depending on what happens with Westbrook.
Fair. Well, the Clippers only can pay Westbrook like $3.8 million. They got to clear up some cap. Maybe we get a little sign and trade action. Kyrie and CP3 reunite Kyrie out with KD and Denver.
Wasn't that kind of what they were trying to do anyways initially? Originally, that was what the trade was going to be. Chris Paul.
Rumor has it.
Yeah. So who knows? That could come to fruition, and then Mark can at least recoup something in the deal. I don't know what, but he could recoup something, I guess.
He's already gotten what he got what he wanted. Cap space. He was trying to unload salary.
Well, Aiden's going to go because whatever they trade Aiden for is going to be their bench, essentially. Like, so he's going to get traded for whatever the bench will become.
I wonder who would want Ayton.
Indiana did, and obviously they just paid. Indiana paid Miles Turner, so now the money would match up. You trade him and Hield, and maybe another guy, like just a guy, Ish Smith's type guy, like a guy, and then like you make that work, and you know they have probably 1 year deals left for both of them because even his extension was like a 2 year extension, something wild like that. But he got paid
like
a lot.
3 year total.
Yeah, and so something like that works. Buddy Hield certainly becomes your bench player that can play, the 2 and maybe the 3. Miles Turner becomes your center. You got Harkenstein. I don't know. They're in a tough situation regardless.
But I think Phoenix made the KD move, saying, "Let's see what we can do this year." But this is a move for the next season when we can actually go into free agency, have another trade deadline to build a team around KD and Devin Booker the way that they need it.
Right.
Let's going over to the East. Philly, Boston, game 1. James Harden goes crazy, 45 points. Boston was terrible in the fourth quarter. Malcolm Brogdon led the team in shots, 5 shots. Jaylen Brown just kind of disconnected. He was like, "Fuck y'all niggas, I'm out of here." Then we got game 2. We bring back Joel Embiid, the MVP Joel Embiid with a new Rolex from a former MVP in James Harden. Joel looked like he was coming back from a knee injury. I saw him.
3 rebounds. 3 rebounds.
5 blocks.
3 rebounds. He was good defensively. He honestly looked great. I thought he was there, rim protecting and everything. But Marcus Smart was having his way. Those guys stepped up. Brogdon stepped up, played really well. Obviously, Tatum wasn't there, and Brown was kind of, normal Jaylen Brown type thing. Jaylen Brown didn't have this spectacular game, but he played really well.
He had 25, but he came out aggressive.
Yeah, he had his type of game.
Tatum was 1 for 7.
7 points.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, 4 or 5 fouls, something like that. This is what I think kind of about this series, though, in general. If Philly doesn't capitalize on their home court by going up 3-1, the series is over in 6. Because Boston's better than them. They are better than them. I think that they need James Harden to come out and play a similar game to game 1, but to work that with Embiid being normal regular season Embiid. They need that. They need to, I hate to say it like this, they need to Kobe and Shaq the thing, man. That's how they're going to get it done. They need to Kobe and Shaq this thing.
I really think what they need to do is they need to say, "James, get yours early, get going, and then start working the big fella and start working Joel Embiid on less of the isolation post-ups and the pick and roll. You play James this game, and you get going, and then once we bench James, we start running through you. But run through James. He's healthy. And let him get in a rhythm and not think. Because James gets weird when he's thinking about what he should do.
And then let me tell you, too, another thing. Paul Reed, he's looked pretty good overall. And I'm not saying let's, take Embiid out more, but I think you can trust him a little bit more, especially when you're running that unit where Harden's the one on the floor and Embiid is on. You can really kind of trust him a little bit. He played really well, man, in game 1, and he played well in game 4 against the Nets when he had to step up. He looked good as a replacement. He reminded me a lot of Naz Reid prior to.
Warriors are winning this game.
For sure.
Did you see that? Did you see that terrible foul call on LeBron?
Yeah. Well, look who they got calling the game.
Scott Foster.
What's this black dude's name? You know the black dude, man.
Yeah, I saw his name down.
That nigga's calling the game.
When
I don't know if Scott Foster's calling game.
No, because he would be the head guy.
Yeah.
When you get some of those institutional NBA referees calling games, you start to believe it's entertainment more than it's a sport.
You know what I took?
What's up?
If Rui Hachimura scores 5 more points, he was plus 105. He has 14 in the first half. He's actually played really well off the bench, but all he needs is 5 more. It was plus 105.
It's not the worst bet you've made this week.
Certainly not. But I parlayed it with the Dallas Stars. I can't get enough of parlays. That's why they call me Parlay Pete. Matter of fact, I meant to actually change. I actually meant to change my name because I did it on IG. It's Playoff Pete right now. Yeah, it's Playoff Pete because we're in the playoffs.
I thought that was very clever, by the way.
Once playoffs began, once I got off to that, I got off to a really hot start. So like I was like, okay, it's playoff time. Yeah. But this is when the games matter and when you should know kind of what's going to happen, which is why even for game one, when I called you, I said, hey, man, I think I'm about to throw 5 bands on the Lakers because they were still plus money. And they won the game. They ended up winning the game. So they were plus odds even though they were up at the half. I think they were only up 2, something like that. Oh, yeah, this one's over. Hey, you want to know what's going to happen? It's going to be one of those ones where a lot of people don't realize this. The Warriors have been the best team in the NBA in the third quarter all year. All year, that's their quarter. If they get this thing to about 20,
that's why you don't want to give up that bad
a little bit. But it's going to be a lot of missing shots, and then they're just going to pull them with like 8 minutes left, and then it's going to be one of those type of things. And then Rui's going to be in the game. Shooting shots.
How much you want to talk about the Heat in Miami? I mean, the Heat and the Knicks.
Let's get into it because I think Jimmy's ankle clearly is going to be a big part of the series. I actually, if I had to pick, I actually kind of like Miami to still win the series. I wouldn't be shocked if the Knicks did win. Jalen Brunson, man, I mean, talk about such an underrated player and pickup and underappreciated in Dallas too. Like, I think I'm starting to truly understand the brilliance of his game more and more when I watch him. He's such a timely player and unselfish. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He's
you know what you should be learning about this?
What?
Luka's a bad teammate. You can't play with him. He's not a bad basketball player, but his style of play is just not good for other players.
Maybe, man. I just
like his leap shouldn't be this. Oh, yeah, it's over, buddy. It's over here.
Well, Clay's not missing.
Clay's still cooking. Okay, there goes George Kittle.
I was about to say, who's he sitting? Oh, that was Sam Darnold he was sitting next to. You saw that, right?
I didn't make it out.
If you rewind it, it's Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold should not get.
Where's Debo at? Where's Trent Williams? Why is it always the white guys? And Jimmy. I guess
why is Sam Darnold getting courtside seats?
Because he's with Kittle. The same reason Sauce Gardner got courtside with Aaron Rodgers. And look, I get it. Sauce is defensive rookie of the year, bright future ahead of him. I get that. But he's still not anyone. He still is enough. He was still on a losing football team at the end of the day. Aaron Rodgers is a 4-time MVP.
You're not going to compare Sauce Gardner to Sam Darnold.
Well, and I won't compare Aaron Rodgers to George Kittle, but like at the same time,
I get it.
Plus, Kittle's already established. Is Sauce Gardner established in New York? No. Aaron Rodgers hadn't even played a game, but because he's established, he's worldwide established. Aaron Rodgers is arguably the greatest quarterback of our generation for real. If we want to talk about, I mean, Peyton, of course, but like we talk about the last 10 years.
Look here.
It's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has been the best quarterback. To watch was better. He's better than Tom Brady. Watching it. If you watch football, he was better. He's better than Tom. He didn't win like Tom, but he was better than Tom.
Agreed. So who do you think is going to be the MVP of this series, Brunson or Butler?
It's going to all lay on his rehab on that ankle.
You know, New York showed a little bit of grit in game 2. I think that game shouldn't have been that close, and that's what scares me about the series. Miami, heat culture. What more can I say?
I like Miami in 7. Because I think the Knicks do grab one in Miami, and then I think that they trade the home games to where they both win at home for 5 and 6, and then I think Miami. I think Jimmy shows up in 7.
You can't. I couldn't comfortably bet against Jimmy Butler in a game 7 versus that Knicks team. Do you really think Julius Randle is gonna do something?
It will be the most important game in Knicks history since 1999 Game 1 of the NBA Finals. It would be the most important game in Knicks history since they played the Spurs in the NBA Finals.
I mean, I think every game they're playing right now is the most important game since the finals. Because
think about it, they went to round 2 with Melo and Amari. So they went to round 2. They played the Heat though, so they weren't beating the Heat. That team wasn't going to beat that Heat team.
Go got Joe Montana. It doesn't even look like Joe Montana scored.
Joe's not on the floor.
That's bullshit. We got CMC.
But if they show him, they got to show him. He's sitting right next to him. Okay, they're all sitting next to each other.
Yeah, but
they didn't even show Sam Darnold. Think about it. They didn't even give Sam.
Why would they?
Who the fuck is Sam Darnold for real? But he's down there. He's sitting right next to him.
He's probably a Lakers fan. He's from San Clemente. He's from SoCal.
Well, he's a USC guy.
That part.
Yeah.
First time I think I've ever said that part. We'll talk a little. Want to poke the bear again? Talk a little Dillon Brooks versus Shams Charania.
Yeah, let's give him 2 minutes of time. He's really not worth our breath. Obviously, I totally believe Shams' report, of course, but I think we all knew that he wasn't going to be back. What were they going to re-up him for? They paid Ja, they paid Jaren. They need another player there. So he's not worth sucking in that money, even to be a trade piece, in my opinion. So let him walk. You know, you Steven Adams was down, and so was his name's always slipping my mind.
Yeah, Brandon Clark.
Yeah, they had 2 contributors down. I mean, so I think that they'll be okay if those guys can stay healthy, but they need to add another piece. They need another player. They are the type of team that could benefit for trading with us for DeAndre Hunter. They could just I'm not saying DeAndre Hunter's this game changer, but to add a dude like that on the team would help them.
A wing scorer.
A wing that could give you 17 that's supposed to be one of the best defensive one of the best perimeter defenders. So supposed to be one of those type of dudes. Yeah. And he fits kind of that identity, and he's young.
You know who they need?
Draymond.
Paul George.
Well, think about it. And they wanted KD, but if they want Paul George, they'd have to most certainly part with Jaren Jackson.
Well, yeah, I got to make.
And the question will be, would that be worth it? It could be. It could be. If you're able to supplant Jaren Jackson by getting another, let's say, I don't know. Let's say the Hawks are fuck it, we'll give you Capella type shit, or I don't know, Onyeka. I don't think the Hawks would trade Onyeka Okongwu, but and I would say John Collins, but
nobody wants him.
Exactly. I don't think somebody will want him. Somebody is gonna want him. But at what price? What are you getting in return for him? When you start talking about, we'll give you 2 seconds in a bench player, that's not really good for the Hawks.
That's what I mean by nobody wants him.
Yeah. Nobody's giving up something for him. Especially if they have to take on that contract. Yeah,
you're not getting a Jarrett Vanderbilt in that deal.
But see, the Lakers are going to be
travel. They do not call the Steph Curry travel.
Does that upset you?
Yeah, a little bit. Jermichael Green has 13 points, by the way, 3 of 6 from 3.
So there we go. Well, that's what we talked about pre-production. I was like, well, what's he going to do? Is he going to give him a 17-8 type of game? I guess the fuck he is. I mean,
look at the replay. That's bad. That's bad.
But he's wide open.
I'm talking about the travel. Damn the pass.
Oh, well, I'm talking about how wide open he is. Why is he that open?
Because they got to change their defensive strategy, and they haven't because Braun has a terrible shot.
So does
Because
Darvin
they
Ham
have
not, does
they're
Darvin Ham not
playing.
know how to does Darvin Ham not know how to adjust? I mean,
Apparently not, man. Steve Kerr's a really good coach.
okay, that's 15 for Jamichael. So all right, so kind of like what I thought. They're gonna blow this thing out in the third. Brian and them are kind of gonna just chill.
If they get it to like 14 by the end of the quarter, you'll see what they'll come out and try to fight to begin of the fourth, and then see what we can do. But Braun's not gonna put a lot of effort into trying to win the game.
You mean unlike how they did in
Memphis game 4?
How they did in Memphis in that game where they had like that 13-0 run and it was an 8-point game, and then they just pulled LeBron. It was just like, well,
one of them. It's like, we're probably not gonna win this game. Quick thoughts on Dillon. Let me get my quick thoughts on Dillon Brooks. I would probably part ways with him too. But the way that they went about getting that information out, I think that was nasty. I think it makes the organization looks bad. And if I were a free agent, I would be skeptical about signing with them at market. You have to pay me above the market for one to come to that small market. And then two, you're shitting on one of your core guys on the way out. Yeah, he did what he did. But everyone has heard the whispers about the culture in Memphis and how they kind of let the inmates run the asylum, so to speak. That's probably bad thing to say, but like they've let the young guys just run that culture.
You sound like a Houston
Cal
Texans.
McNair. Yeah, but the thing is, if the culture is shit and you allow young players who have done nothing in the league to establish your culture, don't then make the young guy the scapegoat. Again, I don't like what Dillon Brooks did. I don't hate it either. I'm indifferent. But now if he was doing stuff behind the scenes that was causing problems, all right, we got an issue. If Ja is the public face of what is actually going on in that organization, maybe a reason why Iguodala wanted nothing to do with those young guys who were obviously good, I can understand it. But don't publicly embarrass the guy because of your fuck-ups. Just move off of him.
Right.
I think that's
yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that was bad. Organizationally, it was bad. But overall, even what you just said about them paying above market, Lee, they were already doing that. Nobody was taking less to play with Ja. Let's just keep it 100. Nobody, it doesn't matter who it is. Nobody that's substantial was going to take less money and be like, man, I want to be a part of this. Andre Iguodala's ass did not want to be a part of it. And they were a number 2 seed that year when he was sitting out half the season. They were like, on pace to be what they were. He didn't even want to be a part of that. So like, and look, he's still not even playing, and he could have been there and doing it, maybe collecting a bigger check. I don't know. So it's just, I think that they were already going to have to pay above market. Now it's just going to be a matter of, is a guy going to get traded there, and then they want to force themselves out of that type of situation too. And they have to figure out what it is that they want to do. Ideally, it's funny you brought up Paul George, because I do think the Clippers have to move off of one of these guys. And so, and we won't get into the losers that have already been eliminated, but like, I do think that that's an interesting tidbit in general for you to specifically say Paul George, because I do think a move like that almost has to happen on that end and potentially on Memphis's end. Not that they don't want to keep Jaren Jackson, but like Jaren Jackson's stock is probably as high as it's ever been now as a DPOY. So, and he's young, and he actually signed a reasonable contract too. His deal is not, he doesn't have a 5-year, $200 million deal. This is like 5 years, 100. So
I'll tell you, and maybe this is just me, I don't know. I feel like every team who's trying to win a championship needs Paul George.
4 years, 105 is Jaren Jackson's deal. That's reasonable. That's John Collins' contract. Or John might have been 5-year, 125. I don't remember, but basically 25 a year.
Yeah, that's
for a player of his caliber, that's great.
JaMychal Green. That's the shit I'm talking about, man. He looks bummy.
Hey, he was a Memphis guy, correct?
At some point, probably. Like he's bounced around the league his entire career. He probably has one of those really full basketball reference pages, you know.
Let me see. Hold on.
Full of teams, not stats.
Okay, no. Yeah, he did play. He played in Memphis for 4 years. It wasn't recent. It wasn't as recent as I thought it was. He was with the Nuggets the last 3 years.
Yeah,
which makes sense. I remember him there too. I don't know why I thought he played in Memphis too, like with Ja and that group. What he did for Ja's rookie year. He was on the team with Ja's rookie year, but
you know that Ja did. Oh yes, he did.
But JaMychal Green's also an undrafted guy. He's your age.
Who?
JaMychal Green.
Yeah, he's 32. I'm 31.
Well, nigga, you'll be 32 this year. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
Y'all the same age. All right, that's all I'm saying.
You're right. Let me stop bullshitting. I'm not even one of those people who like gets my panties in a bunch about my age. Like, those people bother me. Oh my God, I'm turning 30. Don't tell me that. Why? Who? It's not changing unless you die. Anyways, you want to close out this hour? Anything else basketball you want to hit before we transition?
No, I just need Rudy Hachimura to score 5 points. And they actually
called for a pretty terrible charge.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. He'll get his 5 because, like I said, Lakers benching their guys for a quarter. The starters aren't going to be out there.
Yeah. Looks like the Lakers are going to lose by a lot. They'll probably get it to about 10-ish. So it'll look way more respectable than it is. Steph is taking 6 shots and he has 11 assists. Really showing his value here. And really showing you why the MVP award in the NBA doesn't mean too much of shit except for your basketball reference page and for your Hall of Fame now because Joel Embiid.
Your Upper Deck sports card. I mean, I know that's the basketball reference page, but
the MVP was out and their team won. He came back. They lost.
And their best player basically was non-existent and they got blown out.
Exactly. Like, how many of these guys are actually valuable? A lot of them are good, but not a lot of them are valuable. But anyways, that's hour 1. That's basketball. AC Lee and Parlay Pete.